MS from UK, London. What was your approach studying fiqh, and what advice do you have to someone that wants to begin studying fiqh to gain a deep, good understanding of it?
طيب. Question from the UK with regards to studying fiqh. What was your approach? What is your advice? So on and so forth. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillahi amma ba'd. Thank you very much, brothers and sisters from the United Kingdom, Birmingham, London, Manchester, Luton, Wiltshire, all over. We really appreciate the love and the support. And we make dua for Allah to continue to guide you and bless you and keep you firm upon the deen in those lands. Ameen. And to allow you to be upon the correct understanding of the sunnah and the correct practice of the sunnah, and to propagate that to the non-Muslims, and to propagate that to the misled Muslims or ignorant Muslims or heedless Muslims, and to avoid extremism, and to avoid negligence, and to avoid man-made methodologies, practices that are made up and invented for one reason or another to hinder the true da'wah. I mean, طيب. I would say that my journey of studying fiqh, of course, is not over yet. We're still studying. Every day we study. Whether it's review, something that we learned, whether it is taking a deeper dimension of what we already learned, that's not review, it's a difference. Or whether it is moving forward, covering new ground, new issues, new books, etc. So my journey isn't over yet. But when I started, of course, I didn't start off on the correct path, like most other things. Studying fiqh, when I first started seeking knowledge, was a fatwa. Shaykh Uthaymeen says the adhan can't be made with an automatic recording. So you go into the masjid, someone, not saying that it happened in my life, but someone asks, can we play a recording on the adhan for the loudspeaker? Say no. Shaykh Uthaymeen said you can't. That's the dalil, that's the fiqh point, khalas. Okay? Wiping over your socks. Do you wipe over the right hand, the right foot and the left foot with just the right hand, or with both hands? Sheikh bin Baz said this. So that fiqh rulings back then were just clips and pieces. And it was the students of knowledge, it was their job to gather as many clips or sound bites as they possibly could and collect them in a sack. And if an issue came up, they would just pull it out. Sheikh Albani said that. Imam Ahmad said this. Ibn Taymiyyah said that. Uthaymeen said no. Okay? And if you had a good collection of those sound bites, sporadic rulings and fatwas, and you could carry them around, no doubt, you consider to have fiqh. There's no question about that. And then, alhamdulillah, you start study. The first fiqh book that I can remember studying was Fiqh Sunnah, Sayyid Sabiq, in English. It was in maybe the 9th grade or the 10th grade, and I'll have it in my book bag. And we just read about order, its types, so on and so forth, translated by Zarabozo, Jamaluddin Zarabozo. So there was no real systematic way of studying fiqh back then. There was no real systematic way. All right? But then as you started learning more Arabic and becoming more serious about seeking ilm, you started learning about small mutun, and you start studying those small mutun. All right? Whether that metin was comparative, and in most cases, the fiqh that you studied was comparative. Or it was Hanbali fiqh, but it wasn't called Hanbali fiqh. Or it was Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah's views, but it wasn't called that. All right? Another example of a small book you started studying, when you started learning the importance of the systematic way, was Adab al-Mashi ila Salah. Adab al-Mashi ila Salah. Shaykh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, explained by our Shaykh Abdul Muhsin al-Abad. I remember that summer, that's when I came back from Medina for the first time in 2003, and I had the tapes, and I was listening to the tapes over and over again, memorizing it and studying it, memorizing the metin. That was like in the beginning when I first started studying fiqh systematically. From cover to cover, a metin with a sharh, and not just sporadic views and opinions here and there. All right? Like I said, then there's Durr al-Bahiyya, then you have the fiqh al-hadith on the side, Bulugh al-Maram, so on and so forth. So the point I'm trying to get to is that I didn't start off with the right way. It took years for you to understand the importance of emptying a cup, starting from the beginning, starting systematically, starting as a beginner, avoiding the khilaf, avoiding the different views, even avoiding the dalil, but just getting into tasawwur al-masail, conceptualizing the issues. Bab al-aniya, the chapter of vessels. Why is the chapter of vessels after the chapter of water? Because water has to be kept in a vessel. What's the vessel going to be made from? Metal, stone, wood, skin. If it's from skin, what type of animal? وهكذا. He started understanding the concept of what they mean by أي إهاب دبغ فقط طهورا مثلا. So conceptualizing what the ulama are actually saying, that's the first step. That's the first step. And then understanding it, memorizing it, understanding the little, so on and so forth. All right. So that took a while. That took a while. All right. Back in those days, it was nothing like how it is now. You guys are spoiled. It was nothing like that back then. It wasn't even an importance on fiqh back then. There was no serious focus on fiqh. A fiqh was a fatwa. That was it. So at the end of the day, the proper way of doing it now, and what I feel is the proper way of doing it now, my humble opinion is that the best fiqh to study is comparative fiqh. That's the best fiqh, and that's the most complete fiqh. It doesn't mean that there's no good in the madhahib. It doesn't mean that the madhahib are bid'ah and it's haram to study them. No, we don't say that. We don't disrespect those ulama. No. But my personal view is mixed martial arts. That's the best way to fight. It's to combine and to mix. And that way each madhab, each method, each strength cancels out the next weakness. This strength cancels out that weakness. That strength cancels out what? That weakness. So if you just study madhab fiqh, obviously there are many weaknesses, such as you may become a fanatic or a bigot. Or obviously many small books, there's no dalil whatsoever. And if you just study the fiqh from the hadith aspect, then there are many issues of which there is no authentic hadith. Or there's no hadith period on the issue, but it is a ruling. You see what I'm saying to you? So an example of this was to use this to cancel what? That. Cancel out the weakness, the strength. What? The hadiths cover. Method, as an example. The most important thing for a student of knowledge studying fiqh is not which madhab you study, or which book you study, or even studying on the right foot. Starting off with the right foot, like I just explained. But it's to start off and the necessary steps. Once you've been studying it and you feel like you haven't been anywhere, go back, erase it, and start from the beginning. And have the proper foundations. All right, you understand what I'm saying to you? So fiqh has to be easy, has to be simple, and has to be clear no matter what school you're studying. You can study a madhab book, a Shafi'i fiqh, and it is extremely difficult and cryptic. Or cryptic. You understand this? And then you could be studying a book on fiqh al-sunnah or comparative fiqh, and it's extremely easy. What's important is simplicity in the wording and the short or the small size of the actual book, with easy explanation and conceptualizing what's being said to you. And then you take the hadiths and you learn them. وهكذا. All right? So that's my humble opinion on the best way of studying fiqh and the most proper and the most correct approach. What's important is to have a teacher. What's important is to have a guide. What's important is to take small baby steps. Crawl before you walk. Huh? That's in brief. Wallahu alam.